Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be part of this great circle of space artists and creatives. Today, I'm going to be orbiting around the topic of consciousness beyond the terrestrials. And I'll be bringing forth less technical, rather poetic side of the space art. I call myself undisciplinary researcher. I work with biology, geology, and space sciences, and I intentionally intersect them with art and design, philosophy, and spirituality, both individually and in collaboration. So, through my bachelor's degree in biotechnology and professional training in synthetic biology, I have worked with bacteria extensively in the domains of living sensors. So, I've been engineering bacteria for industrial applications. I've worked on biomaterials, biological pigments, DNA data storage, and speculative design. Well, in my master's degree, however, I worked on lunar geology, so explored the petrography and mineralogy of a freshly fallen lunar meteorite of that time, Gadamus 003, and I investigated the biosignatures, looking for the DNA and RNA in form of aldehydes and ketones. So, broadly speaking, I've been working a lot with life, livings, precursors of livings, and the so-called non-livings in both the terrestrial and non-terrestrial spaces, keeping in parallel the spiritual and theological perspective. As someone who treats science as only as a method of inquiry and not as a belief system, I clash hard with scientific community, beginning from the very definition of life. And the most suitable place to pick the definition from, keeping in mind the theme of this space, and I can think of no other organization than NASA. Its official working definition is a self-sustaining chemical system capable of undergoing Darwinian evolution. And this definition still goes on in the, or is applicable fundamentally in the astrobiology program of NASA. This definition feels deeply hollow and highly unsatisfactory as it follows the reductionist approach. While consciousness is the defining characteristic of life, current definitions of strict science treats it as an afterthought. If humans are alive or living according to that definition, then we are only biological machines, easily relating to the patients on the deathbed with medically dead brain, or that dead brain that still grows and has living cells and functions via machines that are no different than us. If the epistemological problem doesn't highlight the massive blind spot here as to where to fit the consciousness and the definition of life, then we scientists follow another double standard in the science of physics, not just in the biology. So where on one side, that which is directly observed and measured is considered something that is present and existing. On the other side, physicists are excited by the dark matter, something that is not observed and measured directly. And there's a huge irony in the expression of their saying, which is that the indirect effects are so massive that the entity, which is the dark matter, must be real. But the moment you act as an artist, questioning everything, including the empiricality, I don't know if it's the right word, but empirical nature of science, you get an instant freedom card to think holistically. My practice of this kind of art, these kind of artists who perfectly, who ask questions, this perfectly aligns with my belief system, which follows the only preserved religious book and scientifically proven for its accuracy and alignment with the time period of its revelation by the University of Oxford while testing the oldest manuscript of the Quran. The Quran continuously encourages over and over to ponder, to question, and investigate. So in the Quran, God says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ? Do they not ponder upon the Quran? أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَثْقَالُهَا? Are their hearts locked up? أَوَلَمْ يَنْظُرُوا فِي مَلَكُوتِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ? Do they not look or investigate into the realm of heavens and the earth and everything that Allah has created? إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the night and the day are signs for those of understanding. In other place in the Quran, Allah asks, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? Will you not then use reason? And other places, Allah talks about يَسْأَلُونَ, those who questions. So since I am someone who is guided by her intrusive thoughts or fitra, I want you all to experience the similar feeling that I am getting from following this book. So I passionately invite you all to slip into the insider perspective, to willingly and temporarily suspend the disbelief and say to yourself, credo et intelligam, a Latin phrase coined by the medieval philosopher Saint Anselm, which translates into I believe so that I may understand. Historically, this philosophy argues that certain deep realities cannot be understood by standing on the outside as a detached critique. And I think it's not hard for artists, because we do that on a day-to-day basis while making or watching movies or writing or reading science fiction novels, where we do not judge stories by the law of nature. So in science, while we wrestle with the concepts of what exists and what not exists, and what to consider and what not to consider, Quran explicitly talks about the two types of existences: shahada, everything that can be witnessed and observed, and ghaib, the realm of unseen, things that are purposefully hidden. Because human eye cannot perceive them and human brain cannot discover them through observation. So the high power introduced vocabulary and the concept from the outside. And this could be true because from logical standpoint, human creativity is inherently limited by the experience. We can invent dragon because we know about the bats and lizards, but we cannot invent a new color. Concepts like forever, afterlife, angels, these cannot be cooked by human brain. And that's exactly why I call this book a science fiction, a fiction sounding factual book, because it's just miraculous. So before God created heaven and earth and descended humans to earth, he blessed humans with intellect, taught names of everything, raised his status above all creation. Then in the primordial realm of existence, the event of covenant of Aleth happened. He extracted all future souls from Adam and asked, "Am I not your Lord?" And every soul testified, "Yes, we testify." This event created a soul memory, a spiritual imprint, the innate human disposition, the fitra. And that's exactly why every human born on earth have spiritual inclination toward monotheism and submitting to God. And that's why our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "No baby is born but upon fitra." Before human walked on earth, something even more powerful happened. God presented al-amana, the grained, terrifying cosmic trust of free will and moral accountability. God didn't just ask us, the conscious human, and the so-called living beings or entity. He presented it to the entire cosmic infrastructure, offered it with the roaring nebula, the vast stretching space of heavens, the tectonic weight of earth, the colossal pillars of the mountains. And what did they do? They didn't just sit there like dead rocks or empty space. They processed the choice. They felt the collective wave of absolute terror, an immense weight of disobeying the Creator. And in their own conscious way, they chose to pass. The mountain shuddered and said no. The heavens looked at the infinite void and said, we cannot bear this. But then we humans stepped forward, blinded by our own ambition, eagerly accepting it, maybe to attain closeness and proximity to God, lovingly accepting the challenge, but unaware of the depth, the weight, and the severity of accountability that comes with free will. Later on, God, through his books and messengers, kept on reminding us about his oneness, his creation, in both the hidden and non-hidden realms, and that all his creation praises him and worships him in their own way. Islamic scripts teaches us beyond that the universe, including the moon and the stars, and the time, the day and the night, and the earthly elements will bear witness to our deeds. And I've chosen only 3 verses among many where objects that we call inanimate are actually conscious beings. In the Quran, Allah mentions, the seven heavens and the earth and all that is therein glorify Him, and there is not a thing but glorifies His praise, but you understand not their glorification. Have you not seen that to Allah prostrate all those in the skies, and all those on the earth, and the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the trees, the animals, and many from mankind? And there are many whom punishment has become due, on whom. Have they not observed the things Allah has created, their shadows inclining from the right and the left, prostrating themselves before Allah, while they are humble? To Allah prostrates itself whatever creature there is in the heaven and in the earth, and the angels, and they show no arrogance. I'm absolutely delighted to embed all these concepts in only 800 characters in my own native language, Pashto, which happens to be fourth language in space, but through Moonbound project, Pashto, my native language, will land on the moon for the first time. To the question, how does the moon see the earth? My thoughts and emotion were organized into a rhetorical or sarcastic piece of literary work. So I'll read the Pashto first, and then I'll read the translation. The ruh the anatmita the spogme shahidi. نتاسو بالا خیر حیران شوي. تاسو زما د مدار د مساوتونو لارې تعقیب کوئ. زما د اصل او فعالیت د نمونې په څیر مطالعه کوئ. تاسو زما عمر، وزن، کشش محاسبه کوئ. مګر آیا تاسو کله هم خپل وجدان اندازه کړئ؟ زه د ساينس څخه ډیر یم. زما غلیتوب زما اطاعت دی. زه د وخت کپسول یم په حرکت کې یو حافظه چې د مقدساتو د نزول او د رازونو لوړېدو شاهد یم. کله چې پرده پورته شي او ټول تخلیق شاهدي ورکړي، زه به هم خبرې وکم. شاید په غږ کې نه، مګر په حقیقت کې. هغه رڼا چې تاسو لرئ، هغه تیاره چې تاسو غوروئ. تاسو د فضا د فتح خبرې کوئ، مګر آیا تاسو خپل خالق سره واټن فتح کړی؟ تاسو زما په خاوره کې بیرغونه کښت کوئ، مګر تاسو په ناڅرګنده نړۍ کې کم توري یا مثالونه پرېښي دي. زه د ځمکې د اوسېدونکو دپاره زېږېدلی یم. لکه په کائناتو کې هر څه موږ ټول لیدل کوو، مګر آیا تاسو کله هم په رښتیا سره ځان لیدلی دی؟ And the translation of it goes like this. An astral witness to the anatomy of a soul. So you finally begin to wonder. You trace my orbit through equations, study my origin and function like a specimen. You calculate my age, mass, pull. But have you ever measured your conscience? I'm more than science. My silence, obedience. I'm a time capsule, a memory in motion, witnessing the descent of the sacreds and the ascent of the secrets. When the wheel lifts and all creation testifies, I too will speak, perhaps not in voice, but truth. The light you carried, the darkness you cultivated. You speak of space conquest, but have you ever conquered the distance to your creator? You plant flags in my soil, but what footprints do you leave in the unseen world? I'm born for the inhabitants of the earth, like everything else in the universe. We've all been watching, but have you ever truly seen yourselves? While many may think sending art to space is a way to outlast humanity, but I'm more fascinated by the idea of outcasting humanity, making space for connection beyond our species, acknowledging that we may not be the only creation in the universe. If there are other forms of life, physical or non-physical, material or unseen, I believe they too possess consciousness that knows its origin and purpose. They too have their own forms of worship, their own language of recognition. So perhaps the next frontier is not simply sending ourselves farther into space, but that humanity should ask better questions that universe deserve while it holds countless answers. Maybe our next giant leap is not technological, but intellectual, to let our curiosity become greater than our certainty. Thank you very much.